The Bible says that 600,000 men and their families traveled through the desert for 40 years. Archaeologists would expect to find traces of such a large group.
If the biblical numbers are correct and you've got 2.5 million people wandering around for 40 years, I would want to find entire landscapes denuded. I'd want to find hundreds of sheep and goat carcasses, the bones. I mean, even if they didn't ask for directions, wandering for 40 years, there would be something.
The search for a trace of this epic migration has turned up nothing. Archaeologist Jim Hoffmeyer believes the reason is that there were far fewer Israelites than the Bible says, and a much smaller group would have left behind much less evidence to be found later.
One of the enduring images of the movie The Ten Commandments is these millions of people coming out of Egypt and rushing into the deserts of Sinai.
Hoffmeyer attributes this misleading image to a misunderstanding of the Hebrew word Aleph. The Bible says the number of men with their families who left Egypt is 600 Aleph.
The word Aleph can be translated three different ways. It can be translated 1,000. Aleph can also be translated as a clan. The third option is that it's a military unit, which I think is a more plausible scenario.
According to Hoffmeyer's interpretation, instead of 600,000 men and their families, there were as few as 5,000.
We're talking about a few tens of thousands, certainly not hundreds of thousands, adding women and children, making it millions.
Whether tens of thousands or millions, no evidence of their passage out of Egypt has been found.
The Israelites were trying to get out of there as fast as they could. They weren't carving monuments along the way saying, "Follow our trail." That rapid movement of people is not going to leave the kind of tangible archaeological evidence that one might expect.
If the biblical numbers are correct and you've got 2.5 million people wandering around for 40 years,
وأوحينا إلى موسى أن أسر بعبادي إنكم متبعون فأرسل فرعون في المدائن حاشرين إن هؤلاء لشرذمة قليلون.
The reason is that there were far fewer Israelites than the Bible says, and a much smaller group would have left behind much less evidence to be found later.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها